Hello and welcome to Weather on the Go. Hope everybody's having a great Friday morning out there. We have lots to talk about. Here we got 2 more days of severe weather here, one across the deep south, and then another severe weather risk, a low end severe weather risk across portions here of the Midwest and the northern plains here on Saturday. Then it is all about the heat moving forward as we head towards the middle of June, towards the Father's Day weekend and beyond. And we'll also look here at the monsoon season across portions of the Four Corners region and also kind of a little bit of the tropics and kind of here moving forward here toward the end of June as well. So welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody's having a great Friday morning out there. I know I am, and we had great weather up here across portions of the Midwest yesterday, so I was kind of enjoying the outdoors and all the sunshine out there. And I hope everybody had some great weather out there on Thursday as well, as it was a great day for me as well. But looking ahead here, the day one categorical outlook from the Storm Prediction Center has a level 3 of 5, an enhanced risk of severe weather across portions here of southern and central Arkansas, northeastern Louisiana, getting into Mississippi. This does include portions of the Jackson, Mississippi area, and then getting up toward the Little Rock area as well. The slight risk area extending farther up to the north and west toward Fort Smith, portions there of Arkansas, and then down toward portions of the New Orleans region, maybe into portions there of Mobile, Alabama, and the far western parts of Florida there, across the panhandle there of Florida, and then that marginal risk extending farther up to the north across the lower Missouri Valley. 30%, a 15 to 30% risk zone here of some damaging winds as we head into later today. Maybe some winds that could be in excess of 60 miles per hour across these areas. So that is a concern as we head through the day today. Also a 15% risk of some large hailstones here, quarter size or larger, as we head into the afternoon hours and even through the morning hours here today as well, from portions here of the Arklatex south and eastward here into the portions of Louisiana into southwestern Mississippi as we head through the morning and into the afternoon here today. And then even a 2% tornado risk from portions of the Arklatex from Arkansas down into portions of northern and eastern Louisiana and in toward the Jackson, Mississippi area, getting into central and southern and southwestern portions there of Mississippi. So let's kind of time this out for you here as we head through the morning hours here this morning. We got this complex of storms developing around the Arklatex here, around Texarkana, kind of moving its way through Fort Smith, and then getting up toward the Little Rock area here. This will start to dive its way and propagate to the south and east, and as it does so, we could have some damaging winds with some bow echo type of structure with this, as this dives down towards portions of northern Louisiana, down toward the Jackson, Mississippi area. Winds could be in excess of 60 miles per hour along the leading edge of these storms, and we could also have some quarter-size hail or larger, maybe even a few spin-up tornadoes here along some of the kinks in the leading edge of this here as well. So that will be something to watch as we head into the afternoon hours, and this will drop all the way down to the Gulf Coast here as we head into the late this afternoon across portions here near the New Orleans region, getting down here toward Mobile, Alabama, and maybe even the far western Florida Panhandle as we head to late this afternoon, and then it will clear the Gulf Coast as we head into the evening hours here, with the severe weather starting to wind down toward that time frame as well. But just in general, as the system moves from northwest to southeast, some decent rainfall potential with this as well. Some heavier rainfall, some frequent lightning, also a threat with these storms. We could have rainfall in excess of an inch, an accumulation across much of portions of southeastern Arkansas, northeastern and eastern portions there of Louisiana, and especially as you get down toward the Jackson, Mississippi area, central and southern portions there of Mississippi. We could have rainfall amounts approaching or even exceeding an inch there as well. And then along the Gulf Coast, maybe some isolated areas approaching 2 inches with the rainfall here as we head through the evening hours tomorrow, or the evening hours today. As we move into our Saturday, there is a marginal risk. The Storm Prediction Center did put out on their Day 2 outlook from portions here of southeastern Montana, far northeastern Wyoming, through much of South Dakota, northeastern Nebraska, and getting into Iowa, southern Minnesota. This is for mainly some isolated large hail, isolated damaging wind gusts across these areas. The tornado risk does appear very low, but non-zero still. So we'll have to contend with that as we head into our Saturday. Looking here on Saturday, we got that ridge starting to build across, portions of the middle of the country, across the southern central plains, but along the leading edge of that ridge, that's where you could find all these stronger thunderstorms potentially organizing as we head into late Saturday afternoon and more so into the overnight hours on Saturday across portions of Iowa, getting into southern Minnesota and back into the Dakota region and into portions here of Nebraska as well, and even over into Illinois potentially here. So this might be expanding a little bit here in coverage with that marginal risk a little farther to the east potentially in later outlooks. So we'll have to here be mindful of that. The SPC will kind of reassess that here as we go a little further toward the Saturday timeframe. Just in general, dew points will be rising well into the 60s here ahead of this ridge, and we'll have a lot of moisture here in the low levels, so that will create some instability. And as we head toward late in the morning and into the early afternoon hours, some storms will be firing up here across, like I said, South Dakota, portions here of northwest Iowa, getting into southern Minnesota, western Wisconsin, so around the La Crosse area, Rochester, Minnesota, and then getting down toward portions here of Des Moines, Iowa. And that will continue as we head here through the late afternoon hours here on Saturday. And this will kind of start to spread its way eastward toward northwestern Illinois, portions of southern Wisconsin as we head toward the late afternoon hours, with more of the stronger weather, I think, across Iowa here during this time frame around the Des Moines area, getting over toward Dubuque, Iowa, maybe the Ames, Iowa area, and then extending down here towards Keokuk, Iowa, maybe getting down toward Ottumwa, Iowa here as well. And this will start to really kind of slow down here as it pushes to the south, kind of interacting with that building ridge across portions of the lower Missouri Valley. So we'll start to see the storms kind of weaken as they get down to that region, but still some more storms firing up to the north here across Wisconsin into portions of Minnesota, back into Iowa again here into the overnight hours. So that will be something to watch. Maybe some isolated large hail, some isolated damaging wind gusts, maybe a brief spin-up tornado, but I think the tornado risk on Saturday is rather low. But just in general, with any of the pop-up storms that do develop, maybe some organized storms on Saturday, we could expect maybe a half an inch, upwards of an inch of rainfall potentially if you get under a heavier thunderstorm, across portions here of Iowa, southern Minnesota, into portions of western Wisconsin as we head into that Saturday into Saturday night time frame. So that will be something to watch. And then, like I said, the big story really will be taking shape as we head in towards the Father's Day weekend, as we have a very large and powerful mid-level ridge, which is a lot of warm, humid, hot air across portions of the middle of the country and into the eastern two-thirds of the country as we head and towards that, the June 15th through 19th time frame, especially well above average temperatures surging all the way north into portions here of the northern plains, the upper Great Lakes, and even into southern and southeastern Canada as well. We do have a trough kind of meandering across portions of the Pacific Northwest during this time frame, but that will really just continue. We might have that first ridge start to break down a little bit, but then we'll have another resurgence of some warm, humid, and even hot weather across portions of the middle of the country, centered on the central and southern plains and towards Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and all the way up here into portions of the Dakotas during that June 17th through 23rd time frame, even after Father's Day, with that here trough continuing to kind of strengthen across the Pacific Northwest, maybe some rainy weather there as well. So that will be something to watch. But just in general, like I said, as we head towards that, that's the weekend, and especially late this weekend into next week, the ridge will really start to be amplifying across the middle of the country and move northward here with surging warm temperatures all the way up to the Canadian border. And it probably won't even stop there. We'll probably get some really warm weather across portions of Saskatchewan, and especially over here into portions of southern and central Manitoba, getting over into portions here of Ontario, maybe even Quebec as well as we head through time into next week. But just in general here on Sunday, you can see a lot of 100-degree readings across portions of Texas, maybe across western Oklahoma, southwestern portions there of Kansas, and then much of the desert southwest here baking in that, the heat across these areas here on Sunday. And this will only expand, 100-degree temperatures expanding all the way up into southwestern Iowa, maybe into portions of the Lincoln, Nebraska area here, and much of Kansas, and getting down into, Oklahoma, portions of Texas area here as well as we head into Monday. And this will continue to kind of pivot its way to the east here as we head into our Tuesday, with continued 100-degree temperatures, maybe some record high temperatures across some of these areas here as we head into next week as well, with even 100 degrees showing up near the St. Louis area, getting down toward Evansville, Indiana. So a lot of heat surging north. We even have lower 90s all the way up into northern Wisconsin here as we head into our Tuesday. So that is very significant, especially an early season heat wave like this, as summer doesn't really even start until June 20th and the 21st time frame. So that is something of note as well. And even some cooler weather across portions here of the Pacific Northwest into the Intermountain West here as we have that trough kind of meandering across those areas during this time frame as well. And also as we head into that kind of that transition where we have kind of that first ridge starting to build, and then that first ridge will start to break down, and then we'll have a resurgence of all that here heat and humidity toward the end of next week and into the following week. We're going to have a little bit of a transition period, and that transition period will be kind of an ejection of a trough across portions here of the northwestern half of the country, and we'll have a little bit of a dip in the jet stream here. And where you see this dip in the jet stream, and that is where you're going to see a lot of energy building up, a lot of instability, a lot of shear. And to the east of there, that's where you can expect some severe weather as we head towards early next week, and especially into middle next week here across the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and getting over toward the Great Lakes region as well. So we'll kind of take a look at that here. We got instability growing with all these dew points rising well into the 60s, maybe some low to mid 70s in spots here across portions of the Midwest, the mid-Mississippi Valley, getting down into portions of the mid-South, even down here into portions of, southern Oklahoma, northeast Texas, and that will fuel the severe weather as we head into Tuesday time frame. So let's kind of look at this here. As we head into late Tuesday afternoon, we kind of have a frontal boundary. We have an occluding system here across portions of southern Canadian prairies here, as we have an occluding type of system with the cold front extending down here into portions of the northern plains. And this will be a potent cold front. We might have a complex of storms developing across portions of western Nebraska, getting into southwestern portions of South Dakota, and this will kind of shift to the north and east as an MCS type of cluster as we head into the overnight hours on Tuesday, and this will kind of shift across portions here of the Dakotas, maybe into western portions there of Minnesota as we head into the overnight hours into Wednesday morning. Maybe some large hail, some damaging winds, and maybe even a couple tornadoes as well. So that will definitely be something to watch, especially when you got a stronger low-level jet starting to punch right into these storms from the south and west. That is definitely something to monitor as we head in towards that Tuesday night time frame across the Dakotas, down into portions of Nebraska, maybe even western portions of Minnesota as well. But just in general, with this convective system potentially unfolding during that time frame into the Tuesday night time frame, can expect upwards of an inch of rainfall across a good portion of western Nebraska, getting through central Nebraska and South Dakota here, especially maybe some rainfall into portions, like I said, here of western Minnesota as we head through that time frame into Wednesday morning as well. That doesn't stop there. We have another kind of start to amplify even further. Probably the stronger day of the two will probably as we head in towards Wednesday. All that heat, humidity building to the east. We have a very strong, potent cold front moving through here with the jet stream kind of almost taking a negative tilt into portions here of the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and that will be something to watch here as we head in towards that Wednesday evening and into Thursday morning time frame across those areas, because we do have some instability growing. We have a lot of dew point temperatures rising well into the 60s, maybe even well into the 70s, kind of pooling up along that potent cold front as it pushes from west to east, and that will spell trouble across these areas potentially as we head towards that Wednesday evening, Wednesday night into Thursday morning time frame. Let's kind of show you that here. We got here, mid to late afternoon here on Wednesday, maybe a couple supercell thunderstorms developing across portions here of Kansas. I'm not really buying into that just due to the fact that this ridge will continue to kind of amplify, but I do think on the northern end of that here, we do into portions of western Iowa, maybe into portions of southwestern Minnesota, eastern Nebraska, southeastern South Dakota. We do have to watch for some supercells developing during the afternoon, and this will really start to develop into a line. Now, the southern half of this line, I don't really think is going to occur due to the fact that we're going to have a strong cap in place across especially the Texas Panhandle into portions of Oklahoma and much of Kansas. But these areas here up into southern Minnesota, into Iowa, maybe northwest Missouri, maybe far northeastern Kansas and southeastern portions there of Nebraska could have some stronger weather as we head in towards the Wednesday evening time frame. And this may develop into a squall line here across portions of Iowa, Minnesota, into western portions of Wisconsin with some strong damaging winds surging eastward, and maybe even some large hail and a couple tornadoes as well as we head into that time frame, especially if this does take a negative tilt here like some of the models do start to indicate during this time frame as well. Again, the southern half of this is very, very conditional, and I don't think it's going to happen just due to the fact that we have a lot of, a warm layer aloft. We have a very strong cap in place across these areas, basically from Kansas City on south. So I don't think this is going to be unfolding here across the southern half of this as it's showing. But the northern half certainly do have to watch for some severe weather as we head in towards that Thursday morning time frame, especially as you have that strong low-level jet pushing in from the south and west overnight on Wednesday into Thursday morning. A very potent mid-level jet, almost taking that negative tilt, like I said, across portions of Iowa into Minnesota, western Wisconsin. Definitely something to watch as we head to that time frame here. And these storms may propagate to the east into western Illinois, portions of southwestern Wisconsin, maybe into eastern and northeastern Missouri into the overnight hours into early Thursday morning here as well. It's all with the timing of that cold front. Any little, discrepancy in the timing of the cold front will affect all of the severe weather across this region during that time frame. So we'll continue to monitor that, and I will have updates here coming up in the next few days regarding this as well. But just in general, another inch, maybe up to 2-3 inches of rain, especially if you can get under some really heavy thunderstorms across these areas Wednesday evening into the Thursday time frame. Again, the southern half of this, not really here. I'm not buying into this quite yet because of that ridge developing and kind of, building in. But I do think the northern half of this here does stand a chance of some decent rainfall with this as we head towards that Thursday morning time frame. And then as we look into the Four Corners region across the desert southwest here, we are looking at a monsoon season starting to heat up as we head towards the weekend this weekend, and we're starting to see some showers, maybe some isolated storms developing across portions here of eastern and central Arizona, getting into southern New Mexico, and that will start to spread to the north and east even as we head in towards Saturday here this weekend, up into Colorado and New Mexico and back into portions of Arizona as well. And that will spell some good news as there is an ongoing drought across those areas, especially into New Mexico where we have that extreme drought and that exceptional drought ongoing. This is the new drought monitor that was just released yesterday, and this is showing some extreme drought across much of the southwest here into portions of California, Nevada, Utah, getting down especially, like I said, into New Mexico. And that here is some good news as they are expecting to see at least some rain with that monsoon season starting to here kind of heat up as we head toward the end of June and through the summer months as well. But just in general, still with that heat building across Texas, portions of New Mexico into the central plains, that drought across these areas will be expected to worsen as we head through the summer months here through the rest of June, probably even into July. So a lot of dry weather here and some wildfire conditions still being in play across these areas as we head through the rest of June and into July. And this is kind of reflected off the Climate Forecasting Systems model. We have a very large ridge, like I said, all the way through toward that Father's Day weekend. We got that trough across the Pacific Northwest. This ridge will continue to build to the north and east, maybe even get even stronger. The second ridge starting to reestablish itself across the center of the country after the Father's Day weekend, and this one is really going to set up shop for quite some time. We have the trough just continuing to spin around across portions there of the Pacific Northwest, not going anywhere, and this is just going to continue all the way probably through the closing days of June as we kind of close close the calendar of June and move into July across the middle of the country here as we have another heat wave that is just going to continue persistently across portions of the middle of the country, the eastern half of the country as we head towards the opening days of July, with that trough just continuing across portions of southwestern Canada and the Pacific Northwest during that time frame. Underneath that ridge, not a lot of rainfall here, maybe some storms at times, but not a lot of rainfall across that here, the ridging areas where we have temperatures in the hundreds. I know it's, everybody thinks, you have a lot of, heat, probably some popcorn storms at times across the southeast, but along, in the middle of that ridge where it really starts to amplify, you're not going to have a lot of upward motion here to lift those air parcels up to have any showers and storms. You'll have a lot of suppression with all those, the sinking air with that strong high pressure center there Well, we will have some active weather across portions of the northern plains, Great Lakes, Midwest here in the Northeast, and then back into the Pacific Northwest here from time to time as these mid-level disturbances or pieces of energy start to dive in from the north and west here with a little bit of a northwest flow across the Great Lakes here on the outer edge of this heat wave. And that will just continue to be the case as we head into portions after the Father's Day weekend. This jet stream will continue to push to the north into southern Canada and will kind of shut off the rain even into portions here of the Midwest and Great Lakes potentially during that time frame as well. We'll also have to watch the Gulf of Mexico as this model is still suggesting above normal precipitation here, especially along the Texas coast, getting into the Louisiana coast here as well, and that has been consistent the last few runs, so that is something of note as well. Still not worried about a big storm at this time here. There's not anything that's too worrisome with that, but still something to watch as we head toward the last week here in June, and that will only continue here with the same type of pattern toward the closing days of June going into early July. But generally, as we head through the rest of June, we are expecting the active pattern to set up across especially southern portions of Canada here, across Manitoba, Alberta, Saskatchewan, portions here of Ontario, a lot of rainfall across those areas, maybe over into Quebec, and then we have the active pattern here in the U.S. across portions of the Pacific Northwest, extending especially over into the northern plains here around Minnesota, the Dakotas region, maybe extending down into Nebraska here at times, and then kind of diving around here that ridge of high pressure into portions of the Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes, and into the mid-Atlantic here as well. We got to watch some of those convective systems along the outer edge of that heat wave. We could have kind of a windstorm potential from time to time along the outer edge of that heat wave, kind of taking advantage of all the instability, all that CAPE, the convective available potential energy that here on the outer edge of that ridge. But I do thank you for watching here this video. I know it was a long video, a lot to get to, a lot to cover here. Do be sure to like my video, give me a thumbs up, leave any comments, questions below. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I am hoping to get up to around 200 subscribers by the Father's Day weekend, so please help me out in doing so, and I appreciate that very much, and I hope everybody has a great Friday and weekend out there.